Welcome to the Empower Hour, guys. I'm your host, Maile Scarpino, and I am here with a special guest today. He's a Hawaiian Waterman and an entrepreneur. This is Kolaiah Jardine, also known as Fuzzy. Thank God I didn't really butcher your name too bad there, but you're gonna have to tell us where you got the nickname Fuzzy.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you and the crew here for allowing me to come on board. Also, my friend John O'Malley that introduced me to you. But
yeah, so we're so glad that you're here.
My real name Kolaiah is pretty hard to remember, so Fuzzy, kind of relates to it. Like, what was his name? I guess Fuzzy. Anyway, the story about Fuzzy, what happened was me and my dad used to answer our phone, "What's up, Fuzzy?" or "What's up?" Crazy, funny names, and it kind of stuck with me because I would answer the phone, "What's up, Fuzzy? How are you doing today?" And people would say, "My name's not Fuzzy, you're Fuzzy." And it stuck that way. So that's how I got.
I know before I met you, I was like, maybe his hair is like really curly and it's fuzzy, or I was like, oh, I gotta figure out because I mean, I'm working on my doctorate in clinical psych, so I'm always trying to figure out what's going on. But anyways, tell us about who you are and your background.
Well, besides the Fuzzy name, I come from a little town on the east side of Honolulu called Waimanalo, and we like to call it God's country. I was born and raised there until I was 3 years old with my grandparents. So my mom was I think she was young when she had me, her and my dad, and I was she was 17 when she had me, so she still had to finish school.
Right.
So my grandparents took me as their
awesome.
Child. But my grandparents had 8 children. Well, really they had 10, but 2 passed away, stillbirth.
Right.
So 4 boys and 4 girls, so you can imagine how busy that small little house was with all the children. And my grandfather was a very hard worker. He was a sandblaster and painter.
Oh, wow.
He also raised pigs, so the neighborhood would come to him to purchase pigs, or he would make kalua pig or smoked pork for the neighborhood or people that were interested in buying. Yeah, that's where I'm from, Waimanalo. And what happened was they was gonna build I guess it's built now, the Waimanalo gym. So all the houses in that area got the boot, and that was our family's.
Oh, man.
So my mom ended up staying in Kailua, and she got married to my stepfather, which, I call my dad as well. And I moved with my grandparents to the Big Island.
And the Big Island's really different than here.
Big Island's all about off the grid.
Yep.
A lot of places are off the grid. So when I moved there with my grandparents, I was 3 years old, and we had no electric, no telephone till I was 10 years old.
And what was that like?
Well,
you probably didn't know any better.
I didn't know any better because I was super young.
Right, and you grew up like that.
I grew up without,
Yeah.
So it was a good experience for me because I look at all these other kids that I went to school with that had nice shoes, nice things, and and I was able to see that, I could live without all those things, being raised with my grandparents, My grandfather, again, he was a very hard worker. We hunt for our food, so we caught pigs, raised the pigs, put food on our table. So the one good thing about that was I never starved. We always had food, and he was also an entrepreneur because he would be selling his smoked pork or, kalua pig. So
you guys kind of lived the whole traditional Hawaiian lifestyle.
Kind of I can remember every day, grandfather, if he wasn't working, we'd be hunting for wild pigs, and if I showed you pictures, it wouldn't be cool on TV, but going hunting, shooting the pig, gutting them out right there in the mountain, putting it in bags, packing it out, bringing it home, preparing it, and so all that stuff was.
And that brings the family together too, which is really neat.
And yeah, it's pretty crazy because we never had the TV with 100 stations, and
Do you think that changed you at all now?
I mean, like, I don't really watch much TV, and, you know, I'm okay, I think, today, you know. 'Cause like, a lot of the things on TV kind of distract people from their lives.
Right.
Yeah, so.
So lucky you that you get to be clear-minded.
Yeah, so, but yeah, so around, you know, but the thing about growing up with my grandfather, he was old school. He drank a lot of alcohol, so he was abusive mentally and physically to my grandmother and to us. So I had to grow up with that, you know.
Which is really difficult. That
Very
weighs heavy on
difficult.
you for the rest of your life.
And, you know, he did allow, but, you know, when I was young, I was allowed to play sports. I played soccer, baseball, you know, and football, but there came one point where he just stopped all sports, and I had to help with the farm.
What was that experience like?
That was
Because no
gnarly.
kids have that experience today. If anything, they're given way too much.
That was really gnarly because, you know, like, as kids, you want to play.
Right.
But then what I had to do, I had to listen, because if not, I would get, you know,
You'd get in
stick
trouble.
in the butt, you know, but, you know, because of that, I was able to, you know, tell my grandmother, you know, who raised me with Aloha, and say, Grandma, I want to move to Hawaii to my mom. So I was moving back and forth to stay with my mom and my grandparents. So I went to so many different schools. I mean, and that's why, you know, I'm able to network with so many different people. And, you know, I know a lot of people throughout the islands. And I did get in trouble. Yeah, a lot of trouble.
Oh, no.
So, you know, because my grandfather always had alcohol, and his friends, you know, they used to throw horseshoes, drinking Primo beers.
Right.
I was right there when they wasn't looking, drinking beer at a young age.
Which is typical, because you
Typical,
see your,
local.
you know, whoever raises you, what they do, you follow in their footsteps.
Exactly, and, you
Yeah.
know, and eventually, you know, when I got into my, you know, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, it progressed into smoking marijuana and getting into trouble, you know, fighting, and but you know, that was really, you know, that's all I knew, I guess.
Right.
You know, because that's how I grew up.
And that's what you saw every day.
Exactly.
You were surrounded by that every day.
Yeah. And you know, into my high school years, you know, I got involved heavily into, you know, surfing, in fact, but surfing started at around 6 years old. When I started, my mom pushed me in my first wave, and I was like, oh my goodness, caught a little barrel on my boogie board, and that was fun. But what happened was, when I was in high school, you know, I started competing.
Competing in surfing.
Well, boogie boarding.
And boogie boarding.
You know, and we used to have this one competition for the kids and myself that was free. I think it was Bob Thomas, was the guy that held it during those years, and it was a free contest. So like there was one in Sherwood Forest in Waimanalo, one in Makapu, one at Sandy. So it was like a series, and whoever the top 3 winners of all the series had a chance to go to the nationals in California.
Oh my gosh.
So that's how my career in you know, the surfing world started. At the age of 13, because I won a few you know, of those competitions, I was able to make nationals.
Oh my gosh, so you went to California?
Yes, I went to California with a couple of the other guys that won. So the top 3 that won, you know, were, I guess you add point, excuse me, I'm coughing up over here. They added all the points, and then I guess I was like 3rd place overall, and then I was able to go. And the nationals was a huge experience at 13 years old.
Oh yeah.
You know, so and that's when I landed my first, you know, sponsorship.
Oh my gosh. I'm getting chills.
With Viper fins, you know, so my whole passion then was like, oh my goodness, I'm getting good at boogie boarding, so the ocean became part of my life. And then the alcohol kind of subsided, and, you know, I didn't drink as much, but the marijuana was there, you know. So I was, you know, of course, everywhere in Hawaii, a lot of people smoke.
Oh yeah.
So to be in with the crowd, of course.
And I dealt with substance abusers in the past, working with them. So completely, it's something that's really common, and to some people, it's totally normal.
Yeah, so I mean, so it was my choice, right, to either keep drinking and partying and
Right.
smoking drugs, or do the boogie boarding or my bodyboarding career. So I chose the wrong road. Oh, what I thought was the right road, and I kept partying and got into heavier drugs, and luckily it was a low point in my life when I stole my mom's credit card, drained her bank account from the drugs that I was using, and I was looking at myself one morning, because I didn't sleep, and I was like, oh my gosh, the devil's, I was just saying to myself, the devil's in you. You need help. And luckily I heard something on the radio about some program that can help. And I told my mom, look, this is what I did. I'm super sorry. I need help.
How did you admit to, because like I work with people all the time that have major problems, but they never want to admit that they need help. And hearing you sit right here and you're like, dude, I told myself I needed help. That's like amazing. How did you do that? Like psychologically to do that, it takes a lot.
Yeah, it was like I was at my lowest low, because just to think about me stealing my mom's card, going to the ATM, pulling out money, going to get the drug, smoking the drug and getting high, and going back to the ATM and doing it all over again until I drained all her money out. And then I was like, oh my God.
Felt guilty.
Felt so guilty but I didn't know how to get help. I was just like, oh my goodness. And the thing was, the reason I think in my head then was because I never had a father. My dad was never there yet. And I don't blame him for not being in my life. Everybody has their own reasons. I love my dad, and I have a relationship with him today, but growing up, he was never there. So I had my grandfather as a father figure, my stepfather.
Right, and your grandfather's who set the example.
Yeah, and he was a rough man to be around. Yeah, so that's what happened, So I ended up going to this place called Bobby Benson on the North Shore, and I got help. And during that 1 month in-house program, I learned, about my addiction. I learned about, and in fact, while I was in there, before that, I used to smoke 2.5 packs of cigarettes a day.
Oh man.
So while I was in there, I got sick. I was coughing up all this,
Oh, of course, because your body's detoxing.
And I was so they had to take me to the hospital. So I was at Kahuku Hospital, and I was just like coughing all this black tar and just blood. I was like, oh my goodness. And then this lady, the nurse or whatever, shows me the emphysema video, and I'm like, that's it. I quit smoking.
Wow. Cold turkey, just like that.
Cold turkey, everything. Like, quit smoking, the drugs, quit smoking, drinking, cold cut. And, all during this time, I would still be boogie boarding, competing and stuff like that. And, but what happened was I focused more on my school, did better, was able to graduate, got a scholarship for a program at Kapiolani Community College for, what is that now, for cooking.
Oh, so, wow, yeah, culinary school.
Arts. And during that time, there was an internship program, in high school where I could catch up on all my credit because I was falling behind, of course. And I worked at the Sheraton Waikiki from the back of the restaurant all the way to the front. So I learned every single aspect of the restaurant industry.
Oh my gosh.
And
so you've taken us all the way from living in Hilo, or not Hilo, sorry, I lived in Hilo when I was little, so that's what pops into my head. Living on the Big Island with your grandparents and living this kind of really rural life, to getting involved in drugs and finding your passion in boogie boarding, and then getting help for your addiction, finishing school, and then going to culinary
school. And what happened was, though, you got to remember, like, while I was doing this, I was in in school, working at, like, I don't know if people probably remember Yum Yum Tree. So I was a line cook and going to the internship program and going to school. And, you know, of course, getting better grades. And my last year, of course, I was able to bump up my grade point average because it was 0 all the way through. But luckily I did, you know, not luckily, but I was blessed. And, you know, because of my hard work and efforts, I did the homework, took the test, and, you know, I graduated.
Goes to show you what hard work and getting on the right path can do for you. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Oh my gosh, I'm so motivated by your story today. We'll be back in a few. Thanks, guys.
Hi, Jay.
Hi, Keith.
My name's Keith Bettinger.
I knew that.
And I'm the host of ThinkTech Asia.
I knew that too.
Here on ThinkTech.
Fabulous. You got a great show going, Keith.
Thank you very much. And for our viewers out there that are interested in ThinkTech Asia, it airs every Tuesday from 4 to 4:45, and it can be accessed online at thinktech.com.
Yeah, so what kind of guests you like?
Well, we have a number of guests from academia, from practitioners of international affairs. Sometimes we have military officials. Sometimes we have public officials on the show. And our goal, we try to talk about current issues in South Asia, Southeast Asia, East Asia, and Central Asia, all throughout the Asian realm in more depth than you would find in traditional mainstream
That's the
media.
difference, isn't it?
Exactly.
That you're reaching out beyond what ordinary news media would do.
Right.
That's why we like you so much.
We're trying to provide a thinking person's perspective, an intelligent perspective on what's going on, and we're both sides of the story, or even when there's more than two sides, we try to cover every angle. And I think that's one of the big benefits that we provide here at ThinkTech. Is it's a really innovative source of educational programming for the people of Hawaii.
You're great, Keith. You are a great host. You got a great show going on. I watch it every week.
Thanks very much.
Why don't
Jay.
you guys watch it every week too, okay?
4:45 to 4 to 4:45 every Tuesday.
Aloha, this is Alice V. Hagan from ThinkTech Hawaii Business Education Spotlight. My show is a bi-weekly show on Thursday from 3 to 4 p.m. We invite interesting people, entrepreneurs, fascinating leaders who contribute to the social economic well-being of our state. Please tune in to my show, Business Education Spotlight, ThinkTech Hawaii, bi-weekly, Thursday, 3 to 4 p.m. Aloha.
Welcome back to the Empower Hour, guys. I'm your host, Maile Scarpino. I'm here with Fuzzy. He's an entrepreneur and Hawaiian Waterman, and we were just talking about his life history, and he's going to continue on and tell us some more. So over to you.
Okay, I got a brain fart, so let me talk about, we left off at culinary arts, right?
Yep,
So,
and that you were working at Yum Yum Tree.
exactly, and then I also went to, being an intern at Sheraton Waikiki. So from the back of the restaurant, so washing dishes, all the way to being a host.
And you worked your way up.
All the way up. Like each week I would have a different job. So I would go and wash dishes the first week.
Wow.
The next week I would go stock, the storeroom with the storage manager, and
Right.
go all the way to the front. So that's what my internship was about, so that I would, learn.
Yeah, you learned the whole business of a restaurant.
Yeah, and that's a good program for kids, like in the kids that need help. Like I needed help, and that was awesome for, I guess, Kailua High School was the program that.
Is that still
offered-
around?
I don't know.
Oh, I should look that up.
And
Because I'm always looking for programs for people too to go into, because I don't think in Hawaii sometimes we have the best resources for everybody.
yeah, so believe it or not, I got sick of cooking. I was like all greasy and just got
Smelly.
just sick of it, and I decided to not take my culinary arts program and went into KCC for business.
Okay.
So during that year, I was kind of trying to find out who I was and where I wanted to go in life. And my cousin approached me. He was a police officer for Honolulu Police Department, and he was telling me, "Why don't you go become a police officer?" I was like, "No, I don't want to."
Why didn't you want to do that?
I just didn't want to be a police because
just
I was
didn't
on.
resonate with
just
you.
wasn't, me. I
Right.
mean, and he told me, well, why don't you just join the Army? I was thinking, maybe, yeah, I should go join the Army. So I had a recruiter come, took the test, signed up, and there off I went. After the year of KCC of business, I said, you know what? I just want to go try and see how this is. So I joined the Army.
Oh my gosh.
Army Reserves. I was a diesel mechanic for 6 years.
Wow.
6 years. Got honorable discharge, of course. So that was a good experience. My AIT and my basic was in Fort Leonard Wood. Well, they call it Fort Lost in the Woods because it was boonies in the boonies.
There's nothing there.
Yeah, so that was a good experience. I was able to, meet, people that were higher ranking that, treated the lower ranking in a different way. But I could relate because how I grew up.
Right.
I could communicate with different people and different personalities. So,
And that's real. That really helped you.
yeah, and it was a really good experience. But when I came back and I was working at Fort Shafter doing my duties, those guys that give them full-on respect for serving our country. But it just wasn't for me then.
Right.
So I stopped going to my that's one weekend out of the year, and then once a weekend out of every month, I stopped going. For some reason, I just didn't get along with the person that was in charge of me, and I just
And that can change your whole work experience. It can make it horrible.
Yeah, but throughout all this, I've managed to have so many types of jobs. Throughout working with my grandfather and hunting and all that stuff, I had experience of painting homes, the construction field and all that stuff, and then still competing competitions, surfing.
Right.
Like surfing was and always will still be my love, because it gets me away from this crazy traffic.
Yes. And real life.
And real life, and I guess it makes me a better person. Yeah, so I remember growing up, going back. My first job was a newspaper boy. Second job was Safeway, Chevron. I worked at Chevron in Waimanalo, Coonies, and they're no longer there. But then, roofing, framing, concrete stuff.
You've done it all.
And I just couldn't find
your niche, where you belong.
But surfing was still there. But because I grew up with my grandfather, grandmother, and then my grandparents' youngest son, he's 10 years older than me, and he was kind of like the person that I looked up to when growing up with him. And I ended up following his footsteps. I noticed that he always had money, nice cars, sounds, boom, boom, crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, Uncle, what are you doing, And it's like, oh, I got this stuff, And, I ended up following what he was doing and, got back into the drug world, And I started right back where I left off. I went right back into the drugging, the alcohol, and not only now, selling drugs. And all I seen was just money.
Right.
Like, oh my goodness, the parties, the traveling, nice cars.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of perks that could come with that.
Long story short, my uncle gets busted. Goes to federal prison.
Right.
So I go visit him, all along.
Did that ever spark in your head, oh my gosh, maybe it's gonna happen to
all
me?
Along,
or?
I'm like, oh my goodness, okay. I didn't, money was was making so much money that I didn't really.
It overpowered everything.
Yeah. And I didn't realize what I was doing until 1 year later, I get busted. And I'm looking at anywhere from 10 to 20 years in federal prison. So I get caught, I got caught in Maui selling, drugs. and they gave me 87 months in federal prison.
What was the experience in federal prison like?
It's similar to the military. Yeah, so it's kind of like, you know, dorms or rooms, and it's all bunk beds, and then of course you got to deal with all kinds of personalities.
All types.
People that are smart and people that are, you know, not too smart, that don't really care. So it's really, you know, a humbling experience, and I call it, for me, my college. So I call it the University of BOP, you know, because I was able to learn from some of the, believe it or not, there are some people in there that helped people that wanted to change, because the, what do you call that word, recidivism or recidivism?
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to
Anytime
say it
you
either.
go out with recidivism, it's like 75% of when you go into prison, you come out and you go right back.
Right,
You know.
it's a cycle.
So while I was in there, I didn't gamble. I didn't, you know, do the drugs and all that stuff. I pulled myself away because I was like, oh my God, look, I'm doing all this time for just selling drugs that I didn't think I was affecting other people's families, you know, and I realized what I was doing wrong. So I was paying my debts to society and learning a huge lesson of what I was doing.
So it's amazing that you can understand that too, because a
Yeah.
lot of people, they don't.
They don't, because
And they actually they like going to prison because it's
Oh, yeah.
safe. They don't have to worry about finding a job. They have a meal that's provided for them.
Exactly.
So unfortunately, yeah, you see a lot of people that want to stay in there.
Yeah, so quickly, I mean, in the BOP, they have a lot of programs, so you can get your, you know, electrical license, plumbing license. So there's a lot of programs in there that help people to change their life. So I was part of the guys that was in there helping inmates, you know, getting ready to go out. So I was in the educational program, teaching them how to dress, to go to an interview,
Right.
what to say, the questions that they'd be asked, so that when they go out, they'd be ready to, you know, even though they made a mistake in life, they
Because
have
that's
a,
the hardest thing is
Exactly.
finding a job after.
so you have, like, you know, I have a big red X on my
Oh,
back.
yeah.
You know, and when I came, you know, the thing is, when I came out, I had to go find a job.
Right.
You know, because I lost everything, all my money, everything was just boom, gone.
And employers will ask you, like they want to know. It makes it hard because I had clients that needed to find jobs that had been in jail. And, you know, I was like, you just have to be honest with them, but explain that you're a good person. You're still a good person.
Yeah, I mean, and it varies, because, you know, every person has, you know, their crime is different. Like,
Right.
you know, for some are, you know, murderers, some molesters and all that stuff. So, you know, my crime was selling drugs, and, you know, I learned my lesson while I was there. And when I came out, I cut all ties with family members that did, you know, are involved with that kind of stuff. And I got back into surfing again, so longboarding, and started competing again when I, you know, so I did, out of the 87 months, I did 5.5 years total locked up in, I went from Lompoc to Nellis, which is in Vegas, and then to Arkansas. So I had a long journey, and great experiences. You know, I sat in a room talking about taxes with, you know, Eric Bakanovich, the Martha Stewart's broker. You know,
Oh my gosh.
he was like right there, like, you know. So he did a stint, a small little stint. But guys like that, I'd sit down and talk with them. I sat down with a guy that owned a gold mine, and he talked to me about the economy and what happens, you know, when there's a shortage of corn, or you know.
So you accumulated a lot of knowledge
A lot
while
of it.
in
I mean,
there.
I've got notes and notes, because I went to the smart, you know, the guys that I felt were businessmen, real estate, like, you know, they're real estate investors, and I took all my time and wrote notes and sat with these guys, and they gave me the time for free, you know. So that's where I got most of my, I would say, you know, education that you wouldn't have, you know, being on the street.
Right. or even in college to some degree you don't learn that. But we're going to take a short commercial break. I'm here with Fuzzy. I'm your host, Maile Scarpino, and this is the Empower Hour, and we'll be back in a few.
Aloha, I'm Kili'i Akina, president of the Grassroot Institute and host on Ehana Kako, a weekly program on the ThinkTech Hawaii broadcast network. Ehana Kako means let's work together. Think of the sad alternative, let's not work together. Here in Hawaii, with all of our diversity and the richness of the people, it's important for us to come together around issues on the basis of what's right, and what's good, and what's going to serve the common good. And that's what we try to do at Ehana Kako. Every week, we interview movers and shakers, people in government, business, and other sectors of society to talk about how to create together a better government, economy, a better world here in Hawaii that can bless the rest of the world. I thank you for your attention to ThinkTech Hawaii, and we look forward to seeing you every Monday, 2 to 3 p.m. on the ThinkTech Hawaii Broadcast Network. We're Ehana Kako, and we wish you well. Aloha.
Welcome back to the Empower Hour, guys. I'm your host, Maile Scarpino. I'm here with Fuzzy. He's an entrepreneur and a Hawaiian Waterman. He's been telling us about his long journey in life. And it's I have to say, it's amazing. It's probably the best story that I've ever heard on this show. So I'll hand it back over to you.
Okay, so I know we have, limited time to talk, and my story leads up to my career as a stand-up paddle athlete. So going through all this, hardships and struggles and climbing the mountain to get out of jail and, experiencing all that, I managed to not go back to jail. And
Yay.
I stopped doing all those things that I did before and turned my life into a positive note.
Was there one thing you found that helped you do that? Do you think it was your
I think it was
stand-up?
the surfing. Well, I went back into longboarding, and then I seen people doing the stand-up, and I got involved with stand-up. And one of my friends, she told me, "Hey, look, there's this company called that have these floating glasses." I was like, "What floating?" I was like, "Oh, whatever." They have a pool party, and you want to go? I was like, "Okay." So I went to the pool party, and I was like, oh my God, they had all the glasses floating in the water. And I was like, oh my goodness. It's like, I'm going to ask him, look, do you guys sponsor athletes or sponsor people? And, the rep or who was there, the guy that was there is like, no, but, you'd be our first. So I brought a prop today. I gave her a gift.
too.
But the company is called Bomber Floating Eyewear. The owner is Tommy Bonacci. He's a 4-time world jet ski racer or champion.
Oh my gosh.
And he was sick of losing sunglasses while riding the jet ski. And he has the patents for the foam here.
There's foam on the inside.
And the material is, stretchy.
Oh my gosh.
And of course, we talk about, protecting our ocean. If you lose your glasses, like the other types of glasses, they go straight to the bottom. These ones float, and then if you lose it, somebody else will find it.
Right.
And then of course, they're affordable as well. So.
Which is really nice.
But this is one of my major sponsors that I just came back on a trip. They paid for my whole trip to Costa Rica. I've been blessed to.
What did you do while you were in Costa Rica?
While I was there, we toured the country where we went to, and Your Glasses is named after Jaco, and it's a little town in Costa Rica. And of course, the major part of why we went, it was to have all the team riders there and have photo shoots for stand-up surfing and stuff like that. So pretty crazy.
That's pretty awesome.
And while I was sitting in, locked up, I was reading all these magazines of all my friends in magazines,
right.
Because I competed with all these guys, and they're all professionals. Like, man, I want to be there so bad, So that I guess all that pressure in me when I got out, I was like, man, I gotta do this.
Now that you're free and you actually have the ability to, yeah.
So landing other sponsors like Starboard, Hobie.
Oh wow.
Quick Blade Paddles, Liquid Militia, sponsors that help support my dream as an athlete.
So what is your ultimate dream? as an athlete?
Well, I mean, of course, the ultimate dream is, to, of course, have a cover shot. That was always my ultimate dream. But, I always put in, a bunch of magazines. You see me in the magazines all the time, but I don't like to brag about that. But my ultimate goal would be to be on the cover of the magazine, but have my story put inside that, I can explain
And I think a lot
where
of
it came
people
from to go.
would benefit from hearing your story. And I'm so happy you're telling it right now, because
Yeah.
I know a lot of people will watch and just be like, wow.
Yeah. So by day now, my job is I'm a window cleaner.
Okay.
So I manage a crew, or supervise a crew for Worldwide Window Cleaning, which was featured on Dirty Jobs from, the guy Mike Rowe.
Yeah.
And he came off the side of the building cleaning windows and stuff like that with us. So
Oh my gosh.
that's my job, day job. But part-time, my passion is real estate. So I invest I'm doing a couple projects on the Big Island, brand new development. And what we do is we start from scratch. We buy the land, bulldoze it, build a new house, and we sell it for affordable prices. Because nowadays, on Oahu, I mean, the prices is like...
No, everything's
I
astronomical.
can't afford an $800,000 apartment building
No.
in Kailua.
No.
No way. So, people don't know that. Like, Big Island is super cheap. Of course, you would have to downgrade, your job or whatever it is, or figure it out. But you can get an acre for about 20 grand.
Right.
When you only get like a 6,000 square foot here for like 300 to 500,000.
And that's a really good point, because we have the population here, it's overcrowded as it is, and Big Island is beautiful, and it could really benefit from having more people there that are in the business field, and that can help develop it.
But not only that, though, we're helped, like, now that I'm part of a TV show, Flip This House, Dan Murrow, JD.
You do that too?
So I was one of the chosen, had the opportunity to work with them now.
Wow.
So I'm part of their team here. But what is the most memorable thing for me now is that we're able to help this one elderly lady who was one mortgage payment from losing her house.
Oh no.
She's in Kona. Her house was rat infested. She just got out of the hospital care home because her money ran out. She does, now she's living off of, and she was living off of her Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
So this property was brought on to me from one of my partners, and he noticed, her situation, and then, we're able to. He was able to. In fact, the whole team was able to help her out. Sell whatever she needed in the house, paid 3 months in advance for an apartment to get her out, because obviously the house was just not livable.
Right.
So she had her, taken care of, but our team was able to pay her $50,000 down for, to get her out of that situation.
Right.
And also pay for her mortgage. And then in the back end, when we fix up the place and sell it, we'll give her another $50,000 plus 6%. So it gives me great pleasure to know that I'm able to help someone that was in need.
Right.
And then there's a lot of people that are in that kind of situation, because she had no family, no friends, and didn't know what to do. And she was gonna, like, if someone else, which there were a few people that was watching like hawks, got to her, she would have walked away with nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. And they would have took advantage and, made a good amount of profit and not helped her out. And she's on, she has the tubes in her nose, and her health is not bad. But now my partner that brought the deal, his name is Preston. Him and his mother is, helping to take care of her until they can get her into an assisted living, place. But right now, the place is being constructed. We're renovating it until we, once we finish renovating it, fix it, sell it, give her total that we agreed to pay her, that she walks away with, and on top of that, an extra bonus.
Wow.
But I would recommend people that are in that type of situation to always look at the Better Business Bureau of who you're dealing with, because some people might say, hey, look, I can help you in this situation.
Right.
Because there's guys out there that don't give about you.
No, and there's people like you that absolutely do.
Exactly. So make sure that when you go, people out there who are in those types of situations, there is help. There's government agencies that you can call, like that HUD.gov, or you can talk to someone like me or my team that can give you your option or give your options to get you out of that type of situation. Yeah, so right now I'm currently working as a project manager for Dan Murrow's team here in Oahu. A company called Sturdy Foundations, and I was their marketing manager, and I was out there promoting to help people get out of that type of situation. So you got to remember, there's good apples and bad apples.
Right.
Yeah. So our company is all about spreading that aloha and giving back.
Which is so important because you really don't see that as much as we need in the community today.
Yes.
So we have about 4 minutes, and I always like to kind of end by asking my guests if they could leave the audience with one really important piece of advice or quote or just message, what would it be?
Okay, choices. Choices is like the most important thing in anyone's life, because the moment you wake up, you have the choice to get up out of bed and do something with your life. You tend to see a lot of people, put their hands out and what about me? What about me?
Right.
And the choices you make today will determine your future.
Right.
So if you choose to get up and educate yourself about, whatever it may be that you're interested in, you can do it. Look at my situation. I look at my situation and all the hardships that I went through and to where I got today. I use the acronym ASK, always seeking knowledge.
Always seeking knowledge.
Always seeking knowledge. I'm always asking if somebody's doing something that I want to do. I go straight to that person and say, hey, look, you got like 5 minutes to talk. And then what I do is I ask them about how did they get or become so successful at
And
what
that's
they
the
do.
smartest way to do it, because the template's already there. The person knows how to do it. You just have to do it that way. Instead of fixing it all, some people like to go in and create this whole new thing, and it's never going to work as well.
So choices is your choice, I guess, to do, and of course, the way you think. So, and I like to say, you are the way you are because of the way you think. So if you think about, say, I'm gonna get a haircut, I'm gonna get a haircut, I'm gonna get a haircut, I'm gonna get a haircut. I got a haircut yesterday so that I could look good on the show because it was all fuzzy. So, you are the way you are because of the way you think.
Do you see a difference in the way you think looking back from when you were on drugs and you were living that lifestyle to how you are today, or when you're not using?
Well, I look at it as I'm a good role model for children coming up that are going through the same situation that I have went through. So of course, like my thinking has changed big time because I cold cut. I don't smoke. I don't drink. And recently I have a 4-month-year-old daughter. I just had a daughter.
Congratulations.
Her
That's
name is
amazing.
Kiara.
What a beautiful
and
name.
I have a beautiful family. My I guess you call her my better half, and she has 2 children. One's 16 and one's 11. And hopefully they're watching this show.
I bet they are. I bet they're super proud of you too.
So we have a beautiful family, and it's been a long journey. And I'd like to just mention that I still have a lot more things to do. I'm looking to write a book. I also I'm going to create a YouTube channel for real estate solutions, not real estate solutions, but real estate transactions that happen here in Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
It's a free YouTube channel to have videos about foreclosure, short sales, working with an agent, working with lawyers, free information where they can go and say, oh, wow, this can help. You know?
Right. It can help a
So-
lot of people.
So I'm on in the works with that, and my I guess you can call my I can't do all of it by myself. So I kind of went to Wix.com, which is a free website thing, and I created a program. My website is called Aloha System Fridays.
Aloha System Fridays.
And it's a .com, I guess,
AlohaSystemFridays.com.
So it's new, but if anybody's out there that can help me, with creating my website, and then, that would help. I mean,
Anybody good at creating websites? He could use your help.
probably could use this studio too.
You probably could. Well, that's the end. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I really appreciate it. And thank you for all the work that you've done in the community. You're really changing people's lives. That's it.
You're welcome. Mahalo.
Happy Aloha Friday, everyone. Be
Aloha.
careful in the rain. Drive safely.
Yes. Aloha.
Aloha. We'll see you next time. This is the Empower Hour. I was here with Fuzzy, and I'm your host, Maile Scarpino. Have a good night, guys.